All right, everybody. Today we're going to do a quick demo of AutoValueAI, and Betsy's going to be serving the role as a interested salvage yard. She may be asking some questions periodically to kind of explain or help better give you a better understanding of what some of the features are inside AutoValueAI. All right, and you can see my screen now. At the very top, we've got 4 tabs across the top. And the idea here is to limit the auctions that you're looking at and apply some predefined filters based on which auctions that you're looking at. In this example here of all auctions, the drop down here is going to include every auction in North America. And so you've got everyone in North America. They're sorted alphabetically by state and then sub-sorted by the city here for the ones that are Copart. The IAA ones are actually just got the name on them, the name of the city and then the IAA. And so they're right there. And you could bring these up and you could actually do a search. Just, you want to look at Albany, just type in ALB and you can find Albany. And so they're right there, easily search, and you have a search criteria right there to search for that. The My Auctions tab is intended for you to select a group of auctions that may be within a decent radius of your operation. Maybe auctions that you typically buy from that may be a 100-mile radius or something like that. In this example, we've got some listed right there close to where Betsy lives, Kansas City area. And so all around there, and all these auctions around her would all be displayed right here, and you could choose those. These may be auctions that you choose to work on a routine basis, and that you're willing to go and haul those in real quickly and easily. The extended auctions is intended to be maybe that next ring away from where you typically would buy. Maybe you buy a 100-mile radius, and maybe this is 100 to 200 miles away from you. And so you could do it, but you don't typically buy from these yards. But if you found something nice, you could reach out and pick up something from one of those auctions. So that's the extended auction idea. Same thing there. You have a unique set of auctions that you can fill in the drop down. This is currently not configured because there would be some auctions displayed here if it were configured. And so, that could be that 100 to 200-mile radius. And then AI recommended is the exact same idea, but just maybe a little further away. Maybe if it's, within 500 miles and I've got certain criteria, I'm willing to go and pick up that vehicle and bring it back in. So AI recommended could be used for that extra radius a little further beyond where you typically would buy or be comfortable even with an extended auction. You typically would, go ahead.
If I'm thinking about this correctly, then I can use those 2 tabs, those 2 filter options, to be able to expand my reach to an exponential number greater of auctions that I normally wouldn't even remotely have time to preview, and cherry pick all the really good vehicles that I'm interested in from those additional auctions.
Absolutely. And so you just select those auctions that you could do a little further away, and all those vehicles are all previewed automatically for you, and you've actually got recommended bids for every single vehicle, no matter where they are. And you just need to create filters and settings for which ones you are comfortable buying from, or which vehicles you're comfortable buying, and which auctions you are willing to buy from. Absolutely, Betsy.
Okay.
So I just want to show you kind of quickly how this works. I've selected my auctions, and then let's just choose this Kansas City auction for tomorrow. And now we've got a group of cars that come up down here, and it's going to be several hundred of them that are selling at that auction. And I want to demonstrate how these filters work up here. And so let's actually drop this down to show just a smaller number, like 12 right there. And then let's look and see there's 551 cars at that auction. And so let's just say I want to look at a certain year range, 16 to 18 model. And so now that list down below is now down to 129 vehicles. And so you see how it's whittling that list down automatically for you as you apply those filters. Let's get, you actually can choose a model name. And so let's say, hey, I only want to look at certain vehicles. You actually could choose which vehicles you want to look for if you wanted to get that detailed. You could choose the body style, the drive line, 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive. You could choose the engine configuration, the transmission, what type of title is it. You may want to filter out and say, I don't want to look at clean title stuff. Who is the seller? You may decide I don't want to look at financial institutions or others, you only want to look at insurance or fleet or something, you could do that. You've got a filter here for minimum AI index score, and I'll point that out to you in a second, but an AI index score is a ranking system that shows the level of need for that particular vehicle, and that vehicle is the sum of all of its good parts that are on it. And so I'll point that out in just a minute, but you could do a filter based on minimum AI index. You could do filters based on distance from your zip code to where the vehicle is located, the maximum number of times it's been listed, the maximum of unique lot numbers that it's had. This is a big kicker. This would be if the vehicle's been listed under one lot number, maybe at one auction, and then that VIN has reappeared under a different lot number, or somebody has bought that vehicle and relisted it to try to sell it. This is like a telltale sign of somebody trying to flip a vehicle. And so you may want to keep that at 1 right there. And then lastly is the Hollander interchange number. Maybe you've got a request for a certain Hollander interchange number and you need to search for it. Just put in that interchange number right there, and boom, it'll find that vehicle that's equipped with that part for you.
Can I look across all auctions to find that interchange number if I wanted to?
Absolutely. You could just click on all auctions and then have all up here, and then type in that interchange number, and boom, it'll find it for you.
Okay.
That feature is not working today, but it will be in about a week or so. It's under construction right now by the guys. Okay, so we've got some filters we threw in place. Let's see. Yep, we got 16 to 18 Pathfinders we're looking for under 150,000 miles. And look, there's a 17 Pathfinder with 149,000 miles on it. So here we can click on this particular lot number, and it takes us directly to Copart's website. So we could actually place a bid on the vehicle or look at some more details there. I'll go back to the summary screen. If I click my tab up here, I can click on the pictures right here and actually scroll through high-res pictures of this particular vehicle. So I can see everything on here as to what it looks like. Or I can click anywhere on the row and it brings up the details of that vehicle. And so here's the detail page here. And we can see that we've got all the pictures. We can click the pictures and scroll through them the same way we did before. And we've got all the interchange choices have already been made. All the good and bad choices have already been made. Everything there is flagged as good or bad according to what the AI has read and identified. The quantity on hand and sales data is coming out of your PowerLink Pinnacle or Checkmate system. And so that's displaying there. The 90-day demand is a combination of the demand within your system or a locate for what body shops are doing around you. So if a body shop's writing estimates around you and they are subscribing to put those estimates inside Parts Trader, and you've got a Parts Trader account, we actually can query that Parts Trader account and tell you exactly what the demand is in a radius around you.
So Chad, are you telling me that what is taking me hours to do in terms of looking at every single part to determine is it good, is it bad, what's the interchange number, and what's my picture of do I need that based on my supply and demand, is already done? And is that for every vehicle everywhere?
That is correct. It's already done for every vehicle in North America for you that's selling every single day. 20,000 vehicles a day sell in North America through Copart and IAA, and every vehicle has been analyzed uniquely for you. Absolutely. And take it just a touch further, Betsy, we've actually queried your system to look for your standard or standard B, and be standard wholesale if you're PowerLink, standard B if you're a Pinnacle, and we're populating that here under the standard price. It would be a price book price if you were Checkmate, but we're populating that under the standard price. We're querying your system to see what your historical sales have been for that part. And so we can see here, it sold one within the last 90 days, and it sold for $695. And so you can see that there. And then what is the average asking price if you've actually got a part in stock, which this one does not have one in stock for this particular example. But if you had one in stock, quantity on hand above 0, this would also be populated for what you have it priced at. And then if you subscribe to the pricing tool and you have that part type activated, it would also have you an Einstein price right here as to what that part is worth. The average regional price is a locate to see what the average asking price is around you, similar to you running a locate within your own YMS. This feature, again, will be working in a few weeks. It's not working today, but it will be populating there just in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Betsy would then take these 5 columns, the standard price, average sale price, average asking price, the Einstein price, and the average regional price, and we look at all 5 of them, and then look at a setting that you've put in place over on the settings that says which value do you want us to use. In this example here, we're using the standard price, but it's a configurable setting that says I want to use the average sell price if I have it. If I don't, then use the standard price. And so you could configure it to do that exact way, or you could say use the Einstein price first. If I don't have it, then use the asking price. If I don't have it, then use the standard price. And that would control what data populates in this column right here. Okay.
And I could pick which of those that I want to use to calculate that.
Absolutely. I'll show you that on the settings side in just a minute. But yep, that way you can determine which price points you want to use for that particular, for any part, and so which source do you want it to come from. Now, we've already done all this work. We've determined the good and bad. We've determined the interchange. Queried this out of your PowerLink, Pinnacle, or Checkmate to figure out your level of need and the value of the part. We then run it through a set of, I don't know, algorithms you may want to call it, to say what is your level of need for this particular part. And your level of need is represented as an AI index score. And so the AI index is calculated for each individual part. Okay, so you can see these different numbers. The higher the number, the higher your level of need. The lower the number, the lower your level of need. And so you don't have any demand for something. It's, you know, there's no history of it. You're not going to need it, but you do have good demand for it. You do need the part. It's going to give you a higher AI index. We use the AI index for 2 purposes. Number 1, we take the sum of the AI indexes of all the parts that are good, and we total it up to give you a total AI index score. So this is giving you a comparative analysis of other vehicles that are offered for sale as to how this vehicle ranks to those other vehicles. The higher the number, the more you would need that particular part, or that vehicle. I mean, you need that vehicle because it's got a good number of parts on it that you need. That's the first way that we use it. The second way we use it is we use this as a cost of goods number. And so we have an AI index score of 65 gets converted to be a 65% cost of goods, and we apply that to the estimated sell price, which is this column we talked about here, as to how you have designated that part should be valued. And so let's just say it's valued at your standard wholesale or standard B price, $4,070, times 65% equals $2,646. So we're saying we need to bid $2,600 to buy that engine. Okay.
Now, can I, if I want a higher or lower estimated sales price, can I adjust those?
Absolutely. So you've got multiple ways to do that. If you wanted to adjust on the fly, you could just put a higher number in here on the fly. You wanted to adjust this on the fly, you could put a different number in here on the fly. But if you wanted to change the setting for how all of these are calculated, and it automatically changes to better reflect your opinion on how it should be valued, we can do that inside the settings. So you set it up one time, and then it would just repeat that process on every vehicle for you.
And would I have complete access to all of the settings?
Absolutely. You've got access to every setting there is.
Okay.
There's nothing that you can't adjust. Okay, so these 2 columns we just identified are adjustable, and then as you change those, that bid amount number changed also. Accordingly, it changed. And then we just repeat the process for each part on that vehicle. We can see that we don't need the transmission. There's no demand for the transmission, no quantity on hand, no sales data, nothing. And look, it's got a lower AI index score. Okay, so the lower the AI, pardon?
It did devalue it quite a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we say, hey, we think we can sell it for $983, but it's saying let's put a 34% cost of goods in it. So let's bid $334 to buy it. And so we just repeat that process for every single part that's good on the vehicle. And then we have a grand total at the bottom. Hey, you know, we need to bid $4,805 landed cost to get that vehicle here. So we take that $4,805 and we bring it up top up here, and we plug it in as a landed price of $4,805. And then we've got a couple of adjustments, positive adjustment to the bid or negative adjustment to the bid. This is based on a setting that you put in place on the settings page to raise or to lower the price of a bid for a vehicle. And you're like, why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you want to account for the value of the core, scrap, and crush at the end of life, and you want to add $300 to it. So you actually could create a setting that says add $300 to every single bid to help cover that end of life value. Or I've seen some guys say, hey, I want to do negative $100 to cover my cost to dismantle that vehicle, maybe 150, whatever the number may be. And again, so this would be applied to every single bid. And so whether it's positive or negative, you can control that at a setting level and it will automatically be applied here.
And I can also edit it from here. So if I have 300 as a default and I want to make it 200, I can change.
Absolutely. Editable right here, and then it changes all the calculations accordingly. Next, we got those auction fees. Auction fees are broken down as to what that gate fee is, environmental title fee, the secure payment fee, the live bid fee. All those fees are broken down here, summed up right there for this particular bid amount. So we bid $3,900. You're going to have $795 worth of fees applied.
Now, I'm a large buyer, and I get the discounted rate with Copart. Does my settings take that into consideration?
The discounted rate for large buyers is only applicable for IAA. For Copart, it is based on your payment method. If you've got a secure payment method, you get a discounted fee. If you have an unsecure payment method, your fee is a little higher. Same thing with bidding. If you bid live or if you pre-bid, Copart and IAA both have different fees here. So we are calculating this based on the setting you put in place as to if you use secure payment method or not. Do you live bid or pre-bid / proxy bid is what IAA calls it. And then on IAA, if you're a high volume buyer or a low volume buyer, you've got different fees also. So you select all that in settings. I'll touch on that in just a minute to let you see how that works.
And it is unique to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. However you want to configure that, and it's how you would typically buy a vehicle. And so if you're typically buying them live, I would say do live, and that way this bid would be calculated based off of a live bid fee. Okay. Transportation cost right here. Yeah, again, I'll show this to you in a few minutes on the settings, but this is actually subtracting out the cost to deliver that vehicle from that particular auction it's available at to your business. And so it's a zip code to zip code, distance maybe 100 miles. What's that cost going to be? I'll show you how that's configured in just a few minutes over on the settings page. But it's doing this math for you. 4805 is landed minus the 795 minus the 100. We need to bid 39.10 for this particular vehicle. Okay, so you may decide I do want to bid or I don't want to bid, and so you may evaluate what it looks like, and you may decide I do want to bid on it, and I do like the $3,900 figure. So we do $3,900 and we click the save button here. So now it just saved that $3,900 bid so that it will appear on your summary page. And so this is the detail page we're on. I'm going to click on the summary page, and there's the summary page, and here's that vehicle right here on top. Let me click the refresh button, and boom, there's my $3,900 planned bid. Okay, and then we just repeat the process for all the vehicles we're looking to evaluate. And we just remove Pathfinder, so we have all the vehicles there. So we could repeat this process over and over and over today for whichever vehicles we're looking to bid on, and it would save those there for us. And then we could maybe filter out the ones that we don't want. Maybe we not interested in this Lexus, so we could click on the Lexus and then filter this vehicle out. I'm not interested in it. And so now it's going to disappear off that summary page whenever we hit the refresh button. Hit refresh and boom, it's gone now. And so as you're looking through the vehicles, do I want to bid on it or not? Like, I don't need that one. Look at it and it's like, it's just not enough activity for me. Filter it out and move on to the next vehicle. Or if you want to filter on the fly, you could just, be walking down this list here and it's like, I don't like it. I don't like it. You hit filter out right there and boom, it filters it out for you right there. And so you could just work your way down the list and filtering those that you don't want. Now, as we click those, they're getting filtered out. We again could hit the refresh button right here. It removes everything. Eventually, you're going to end up with a list that's pretty much just the vehicles that you want to bid on. And so you got a planned bid amount here. That's when you can click print current page, and it just prints this page out for you. So you've got this printed out exactly how you want it. And your run number, maybe you want to sort it by run number. And so you're in ascending order by run number or descending, whatever you want to do. That ability there is just to click that and sort it whichever way and then print that page how you want. There will be a new button here that says export that will come pretty soon so that you could export that out to use it in Excel to do whatever you want with it. Maybe you have somebody that bids remotely for you and you want to use an Excel spreadsheet to kind of share that. You could download that. That will be there in another week or two probably. We'll have that export button right there. Betsy, do you have any questions so far?
I do not. It's very simple, and I'm assuming that I just go through at a detailed level, put the planned bid on, and then come to this page, put it in order of planned bid, or actually probably put it in order of run number.
Yep.
And then as the vehicle comes up for sale, I know exactly how much I want to bid on it.
Yep. We've also seen people use the tool, say that the auction actually comes up with a VIN or a lot number. And so you could take that VIN or lot number off of the Copart live bid or the lot number right there, paste it right here in the search bar. And so you could do a real quick copy and paste. And now you've got that exact vehicle. So if you're trying to work an auction in real time and you're just looking at one vehicle ahead, you could copy and paste and boom, it's right here for you.
Now, what if I have some vehicles that I might even want to take advantage of the buy it now feature?
So we have a feature. Now you're jumping ahead, Betsy. Let's jump over to the settings page and we'll do settings, and then we'll go over to notifications. And we've got a setting right here that says if the vehicle has a buy it now price that's less than the calculated value, then shoot me an email. And you could put in whatever you wanted to right there for your email address, and it would alert you to the fact that there is a vehicle offered for sale with a buy it now, and the buy it now is less than what the calculated value is for that particular vehicle. So
Nice.
you may want to jump on it and buy it now. And believe it or not, these auctions are listing these vehicles 2, 3, 4 months in advance. And so just imagine the vehicle gets listed today and it had a buy it now price on it. And we calculated it about 3 to 5 minutes after it's listed, and boom, you get an email that says, hey, there's a vehicle listed for sale with a buy it now that's way low compared to what we think it's worth. Go jump on it right now. You just then had an opportunity to bid on a vehicle and buy it before it ever went to auction. And so that is a possibility with those notifications automatically triggering.
Very nice.
So, since we're here on the settings page, we'll run through this here right quick. You've got the same 4 tabs up here, all the My Auctions, the Extended Auctions, AI Recommended. And here's where you could control which filters you want to have applied to each of the particular tabs. And so you've got an all tab. Maybe you've got some settings there as to how you'd want that to be. And then you've got the My Auctions, you got the Extended Auctions. The idea here is you probably want your filters to be more restrictive as you go further away. And so you go further away, you want more restrictive filters. So your year models may get different, your mileages may get different, your minimum AI index score may get different as you go to different tabs here, okay? Now, you asked the question, how do I select which auctions appear for each tab? And that is done right down here below is the auction groups tabs, okay? And so here you can choose which auctions will appear for My Auctions, My Extended Auctions, and the AI Recommended. And you can select whichever ones you want, and you can have each auction can appear on any of the 3 tabs, My Auctions, Extended, or AI Recommended. However you want to set that up, that is completely up to you and completely configurable. If you wanted to apply a rust discount for that particular auction, maybe it's an auction that is known for having rusty vehicles because it's in the Rust Belt area, you could click the button here to apply a rust discount. And lastly, you have a transportation cost. What is the cost to move that vehicle from that auction to your facility? And so we've got different fees for cars versus trucks. And so if you had a different fee of moving a truck, we can do that. This is where it's pulling from when it's doing that detailed calculation over here. And we're looking at the transportation costs here. It's pulling from this setting over here where it's, which one should we use? Now, let's go over to general. And in general, this is where you select which fees you want to use. I got secure payment method or unsecure for Copart. And then the bidding method is either live or pre-bid. And so these, again, are simple questions, but it's applying a different set of fees based on what Copart charges for that particular situation. Same thing for IAA, standard volume or high volume, live bid or proxy bid. And so we can then choose the correct fees to charge. Demand source. And so we typically would say, hey, we'll just pull the demand from your YMS, your PowerLink, your Pinnacle, your Checkmate. But in the last 10 or 15 years, we've kind of run into a situation where we don't get phone calls for parts like we used to. They find it electronically somewhere and then turn around and just call and say, send this part to me. Well, this turns into the chicken or the egg. We don't know that we need to go buy that part unless we have demand for it, but we don't have demand for it unless we have it in stock. And so unless we're just randomly buying parts and vehicles and stocking them, we never get phone calls on a lot of these parts. So we have a product called Demand Data that's actually pulling in the requests coming in from Parts Trader around you. And so if you're signed up and you have Parts Trader requests coming in to you from body shops around you, we can pull that data in here and make it appear inside AutoValueAI. And so that's where a lot of these numbers here, this demand numbers here, are coming from estimates being written around a particular facility. And so then you've got different demands right there. And so we're bringing in demand that we didn't have access to before. So that's selected right there on the settings. Close ratio is a simple, what is the ratio between the number of lookups that you have and the number of invoices that you have? And so you want to set this number higher if you've got a higher, close ratio, and it's going to make the system have higher bid calculations for you. Of course, a lower number is going to have lower bid calculations for you. And we talked about that negative adjustment and positive adjustment earlier. That was over here on the top of the page. These two are configured right here in the settings tab, however you want to adjust that, negative or positive adjustments. Again, negative may be used for covering the cost of dismantle or some kind of commission you pay to a buyer or something, I don't know. And then positive may be to account for end of life value, crush and scrap and cord and cats and stuff like that. All right, let's move to exclusions. This is where you put in the rust devaluation figures. And so as the vehicle ages, you may decide, hey, I want to apply a discount based on the age of the vehicle as to how much I want to discount the sheet metal. And so I want to do a 20% discount when it's 4 years old, completely configurable right here, all the way up to 20 years, however you want to do that. It's completely adjustable. We've already talked about auction groups and how that works. By the way, all the headers are all sortable, and so that's real easy to sort them. You've even got a distance column right here as to how far it is from your zip code to that zip code. And rust discount and transportation costs right there all can be configured separately. And then notifications, we've already touched on that about the buy it now. And then here's the meat of everything, the bid calculations. We talked about the AI index score before being treated as a cost of goods number. Well, this works off of determining your level of demand for a particular part. So we look at that demand to stock ratio. What is how many requests have you had? What's the chances of those parts actually selling? And how many do you have in stock? And so we're looking at, hey, we've got a 50% close ratio. We've had, 20 lookups. That means we think we can sell 10 of them, and we've got 7 in stock. So we're understocked a little bit. And so it's doing the math to calculate what is my demand to stock ratio. Okay. And so, hey, I really, really need it. It's going to be further to the right. I don't need it. It's going to be further to the left. And so this is your demand to stock ratio numbers across the top right here. And then next, we've got the value of the part. Is it a very cheap part, or is it a high dollar part? And so we've got 5 different levels of valuing a part. And then we apply the corresponding AI index score or cost of goods. And so every one of these numbers is editable by you as to however you want that to work. And so you could change these up to make the bids be higher or the bids be lower. Keep in mind that we're now talking about this number right here. AI index right here is the number we're talking about. Remember, we talked earlier, 61% of $2011 equals $1,227. So we're controlling this bid amount by this AI index score. So if the bids are too high or too low, we'd simply come back over here to this colorful table here, and we would adjust the settings to make the numbers be higher or lower. Okay, so if you wanted to adjust them individually, you definitely can. But we built this feature here to adjust all of them at one time. Watch these numbers here. This one here's at 65. This one's at 21. Watch them. I'm going to hit plus. So I need to raise this by 5% across the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're at 26 and at 70. And so every single number in that whole grid just went up by 5 points. I want to bring it down by 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so, and you can adjust those as you want. If you want to restore the defaults, you just click the Restore Defaults right here button. If you want to adjust them individually, just highlight what you want to change and then start changing those numbers. I've seen guys zero this entire column out because they don't need these parts. I've also seen guys zero out this entire column because they don't sell parts for less than $100. So that's an option there for how you'd want to do that. I've seen guys zero out this column and this row and raise all these numbers up by a little bit because they need to account for everything else at a little bit higher number. And so this is simply default numbers we have set up in here. Lastly is price rankings. Okay, this is where we talked earlier. How do you want to value that particular part? And this is going back to how do you want this column right here to be populated? That's $2,011. And so that can be that standard B price, the average sales history, the existing asking price of existing inventory, Einstein pricing tool, or a regional average asking price. Those 5 choices there. And then you've got the average of the 5, the maximum of the 5, and the minimum of the 5. And these are drag and drop adjustable to how you want them to work. And so let's just say that you wanted the number 1 priority to be average asking price. You could just drag that to the top. If you didn't have a part in stock, then it would move down to the second one, which is the average of the 5. I'll bring it back to where I found it. But so, whichever one is on top is the first point we're going to look at to value that particular part. So if this was average of the 5, and you see here, there is nothing else here other than all zeros. And so the average of the 5 is going to be the $2,011. $2,011. And so it's there calculating that average to calculate this particular price right here for you. That's it for how the price rankings work. We've talked about the demand to stock ratio and the AI index scores. We've talked about the filters and how the filters can be configured. Each time you change a filter up here, just click save. And so maybe you wanted the extended options to be 16 to 24s or something with under 140,000 miles and over a 500 AI index score. Then you just click save right there. It saves that settings, and then when we go to the extended auctions, those would appear there. And let's just show you how that works. We'll go back over to the dashboard, and we click on extended auctions, and boom, there's our 16 to 24 with under 140,000 with over 500 AI index score. Now, I do not have any auctions appearing in this drop down here, so therefore there's nothing there. So there's no no vehicles being listed here. In order to make that work for extended auctions, I actually would need to come back over here to the settings, and then I would do auction groups, and then I would choose which ones I want to be in my extended auctions. And so I would just choose those particular auctions that I want, and then save that page. And so now those auctions would appear in my extended auctions area. Let's go back to the dashboard, and now we go to extended auctions, and now we got vehicles showing up at those sites that we listed as available for that extended area. And so now we've got those particular auctions that are listed for the extended area, and we've got that set of filters. So now we're filtering this list of vehicles by that filter to come down to 535 vehicles. And I guess that's probably about it. There's a little bit more that we could show you when we're actually doing a live demo and answer questions for you. But you kind of understand how it works from what I've shown you. I appreciate your time. And if you've got any questions, you can reach me, chad@recyclersai.com. Just shoot me an email, and I'll be glad to jump on a call with you anytime I possibly can. Appreciate it.